Alright, let's try out this again. We have the Geilenbanger going up against Club Carajo. As I said before, I actually think that both of them sound very German to me. Club was actually, the way club is spelled, was the old way to spell it in Germany, like years and years and years and years and years ago when I was a kid. That changed a long time ago. Now they just went to the English word. But die geilen Banger is definitely German. That's how Kevin introduced Team Liquid as well. It's a bit of an inside joke for, not inside joke, but a bit of a meme in the German community of Heroes of the Storm for a long time now. This is supposed to be a Division 4 game, and I'm actually really interested to see how exactly this is going to pan out, because it's the middle of the pack division, and I'm not quite sure how that impacts the teams and the skill that they have here. I'm not even quite sure which league these guys are when you look at potential Hero League, for example. So we have a Diablo and an Ophelia ban early on Infernal Shrines. But if you paid attention recently, then you've seen that the drafting and, I mean, the playstyle obviously, but the drafting also between Division 1 and Division 7 is vastly different. Some heroes that play absolutely no role in the lower divisions are high priority at the top. Abathar on big maps is a very, very good example. So I'm curious to see if we're getting the best of both worlds here, or how exactly this match is gonna unfold in front of us. The Haka banned out, and that's already an interesting adaptation, since global heroes are usually not the highest priority for the lower divisions. Some that might break that rule, we have seen a little bit of Falstad and we have seen some Brightwing, but especially the Haka hasn't really made that big of an appearance and is more so seen towards the upper end of the skill level. And a ban on Alarak. Alright, so basically trying to shut down a lot of the heroes that can either through AoE or through good engage change the outcome of a fight, especially on the shrines themselves. But with a heavy focus on melee again, we're now seeing Garrosh being picked, leaves Mal'Ganis open too. Now Mal'Ganis is an interesting hero, because especially in the lower parts of Heroes launch, he gets banned every single game. And when he doesn't get banned, he gets picked, and usually with good success. But the farther up you go, the more value Mal'Ganis seems to lose. Especially on the semi-pro level, you see a lot of direct counters to Mal'Ganis play. It doesn't mean that he can't be useful, but he definitely loses some of that scariness that he has in the lower tiers. A Zeratul and Jaina opening is, on the other hand, extremely interesting for the Geilenbanger, because that immediately means we see most likely Void Prison into Ring of Frost. That's a potential combo for them to execute here, and that's already scary Zeratul presence on the map. It's very good burst with Jaina. It's AoE on the shrine, a lot of it too. And Club Carajo just fell into the trap card. They picked Lucio. Whew, that can only backfire. That can only backfire. People are, by the way, still asking me, why you hate Lucio that much? And I honestly don't get it, because every single game where we see Lucio, with maybe like one or two exceptions, he just loses. So the hero seems to have a very, very low win rate in the games that we cast. And I would say for good reason. But again, I want to come back to Zeratul and Jaina. I think it's a good start when you want to execute that combo. The Zeratul pick is very high though, so it still can be countered. And I have to admit that I like the URL pick for Club Carajo. It's a pick that we haven't really seen in the lower tiers of Heroes launch. And I very much enjoy that URL was picked here. I think she's fantastic for the solo lane. She can still add a lot when it comes to the shrines on the fight. And since you are currently going into a composition without an actual healer, it makes a lot of sense to just invest a bit more into that extra armor to keep your teammates alive. So URL is going to try and pick up the slack and help out there. So that makes a lot of sense. I like that. It's a good thought process. And with the jokes aside, let's see what the Geilenbanger are going to do now. First of all, we have Karazim and Mal'Ganis banned out, Kalthas I should say. And what is going to be the frontliner for them? I mean, you can still go into some AoE frontliners if you want, with the Sonya for example. Don't even go into their frontliner just yet. We have Leoric instead for the Solan and Stukov. That's some dirty comps that you can set up with this. That's actually like terrifying. Entomb into Silence, Void Prison into a good Stukov lurking arm, the burst damage behind it. You can drain Garrosh at the front with Leoric. 16 is going to be fantastic for Zeratul. But I'm still wondering what that front line is going to be like. Is it going to be a Johanna? Or what are they going to try and play here? I was thinking about the Stitches as well, but you don't have a CC follow-up that is good enough. And Kel'Thuzad! I like the Jimmy, but Kel'Thuzad, I did not expect him here. Okay, let's bring it. That's going to be an interesting one. they need to keep him alive somehow, and Lucio is not really known for that necessarily, so Zeratul is probably going to have a field day against that backline, especially if the Lucio player knows his stuff and gets 16. Ooh, and I'm skeptical of the ETC. As I said before, ETC as a solo frontliner, he suffers from being a bit more squishy than others in his category, and if you go up against Jim Raynor and Khaldor, that could actually backfire for them. I would have preferred a Johanna here. It can work, but it's going to be tough. So, game number 1, die geilen Banger against Club Carajo. The game is on, and we are live with Fubbles on Jaina. We have Grazel on Stukov for die geilen Banger, Thronic on Zeratul, Quiraji on ETC, and Croquette on Lyric. It's a long time since I had a couple of good Croquette. It's weird to mix that with English, actually. It doesn't quite work. Club Carajo, on the other hand, with Ekomimi on Lucio, Holy Ben on Yorel. We have Beer Q-less. Not quite sure what I should make with that, because the words beer and less in the same sentence usually is not something that I would advise. Normally you want to like pair it with more. Krieg on Khaldor and Scipio going full Roman here on Jim Raynor. Talent-wise, nothing that stands out too much. I mean, we have on ETC, maybe highlight that, Block Party on level 1. It's a little bit weird, I think, as far as globe talents go. If you want to go prog rock here, it's a really good choice. Then again, you might be a little bit afraid of that Reina at the front, so I can understand that to some extent. But yeah, let's see how that's gonna work out. Down to the bottom of the map, Zeratul is actually just taking the lane for now and wants to also start taking down Reina a little bit. Alright, gets the hits in, but it doesn't really do him too much good. Thronic gets some damage put on him too, as Reina just turns around, as he's safe within the towers. For me right now, the two heroes to really watch out for is, first of all, Lucio and ETC. I mean, we have to watch Zeratul obviously, but Lucio and ETC are two of the big ones, because ETC could be the one that is struggling at the front line. And Lucio, yeah, he needs to somehow save heroes in the late game. Now, it's a little bit of a weird setup, because I feel right now, if the early game goes to the red team, they have a very good chance with the damage output that they have to just completely dominate the game and snowball it here. Then again, if we are going to see a game on eye level into the late mid game and Zeratul hits his 16 spike, if the Zeratul player has any idea of what he's doing, this should be a game where they can do a lot of work. I'm liking the combos here, by the way. I'm really liking the way that the two of them are currently trying to line up their skills. You see the power slide coming up, and Stukov waits with the silence until the power slide is in, and that gets the silence in, and that always gets them a few more hits. So it makes it very dangerous for Garrosh at the front line, because he can of course be really annoying with his flips, but at the same time, if he's trapped in that, then he has a problem, and they know that too. Zeratul still with a bit of soaking here at the top. He's always splitting from the 3-man, so it's a 3-man rotation with Zeratul a little bit doing his own thing, and the top lane is, yeah, Urel against Leoric, you guessed it already. Didn't have any kills just yet, and ETC actually with a Crowd Surfer. Okay, Crowd Surfer on level 4. Consider me intrigued. Can help, but you don't see it that often these days. So let's see how that plays out for him. Now, Krieg on his Khaldor is of course another focus hero for us, because if he is able to stay safe enough to get combos out, get his quest completed and do damage, then this is going to be a tough game for ETC in particular, since we've been talking about his hit point pool a lot. And again, people might ask, okay, well, ETC not solo, then what do you want it with? Well, normally you could play it, for example, with the Urel for the extra armor bonus when the two of them coordinate their attack and go in together. You could add a Blaze to the setup with a bunker, so that you have that available to you when you're going into a shrine fight. So those are just a few of the options of what you could play in order to mitigate that problem a little bit. And ETC can be terrifying, don't get me wrong. Like, if you have a great ETC player, then it can be a fantastic hero. The problem, of course, is that right now the question is, how good is the execution on that level? Here's the flip, and that's the good side of ETC. He can slide out, but again, Johanna would have been able to do that with an Iron Skin too, and would have had more wave clear and more sustainability at the front. Stukov trying to anchor a bit. ETC should actually follow up on that too. And for now, they're actually giving up the position on the shrine. They're just randomly throwing out some abilities. The red team, that is. Club Carajo having a bit of trouble here. Aber die geilen Banger wollen sich gerade den Arcane Punisher holen. What is this Nazi speak? We don't understand this. This is not good. This isn't good either, because Holy Ben is in trouble, tries to hop out, but that was too short, and Zeratul goes in and secures the kill. Quiraji about to get away with ETC, gets a power slide and is out. Thronic still trying to get a couple of stacks, and yep, they are getting the remainder as well. Job well done by the Geilenbanger. And now Club Carajo on the retreat, and Scipio is nearly down. The Punisher goes in, another quick stun procced, and that should be the end of Garrosh. And indeed, he's down. Great start. 2 kills against 0, 7 on the level. And yep, that could hurt. That could actually hurt quite a lot. You can already see how that Punisher is just ripping Kel'Thuzad a new one, and Krieg nearly died as it puts down the Arcane Sentry and lasers him to death, or at least within an inch of it. Another quick jump proc, then guys, we could actually even see that fort fall. Probably not, but I mean, the well is down, the wall is down, the fort is on half HP. That definitely hurt, and it hurt a lot. Already behind experience, the structural position is not the greatest anymore for Club Carajo. Things are tricky. Things are definitely a little bit tricky for them right now, so good start for the blue team. In terms of talents, another thing to highlight here is that we are actually seeing on level 7 the Divine Steed for Urel, not going full into the bunny build. And we're having Reyna with Fuel the Rush. Interesting to see that. Wants to play more of an ability build, I would say. Trying to get his cooldowns ready. But it's kind of interesting to see that, because normally what you have is just a follow-up extra damage, or the extra slows that you proc to get your ace in the hole proc. So I'm a little bit weirded out by that, because normally those two talents go hand in hand, level 1 and level 7. And he has some slows on his team, and I mean, it always helps if you can get that through a little bit more reliably. ETC is, by the way, just going also into Echo Paddle with damage here. Like, he is playing a very, very squishy build. Like, he had the chance to go into a couple of face mail talents here, trying to create a little bit more space for himself and his team, but it decided against it, and it goes just full into wave clear damage mode. So that is going to be an interesting one. Yeah, Kel'Thuzad, that is not where you are supposed to be. This is exactly what we talked about earlier. He needs to stay safe, he needs to stay in the back, but if he's in that spot, then he's in trouble. Now keep in mind, I'm talking a lot about the downsides of ETC, but ETC for a long time was just one of the most terrifying heroes that you had in the game, because you could combo him off with any kind of stun. We've seen a lot of ETC Kel'Thas back in the day, like let's say 1.5 years ago. ETC together with the Toranda, any kind of follow-up after a power slide. And the follow-up in this game is going to be the silence from Stukov. So since then, obviously a lot changed. ETC has seen a couple of changes through patches, and we've seen more heroes come into the game that can fill that role too. But it's still something to consider here. When it comes to heroic abilities, the Void Prison into Ring of Frost setup is as expected being played here. And on top of that, we're now also seeing a stage dive for ETC over a mosh pit. Still a little bit on the fence of that, because it doesn't really seem as if ETC would split from the team. And if you're going to a stage dive, what you kind of want to do is you want to have ETC as your pseudo-global on the other side of the map and then jump into the team fight. This is how you maximize what you get out of the talent. But the way that they are roaming just as a 4-man suggests to me more and more that maybe Mosh Pit, despite the interrupts, would have been the better choice, just as a threat to force the opponent to hold a couple of cooldowns back too. Yeah, here comes again Zeratul. Void Prison set up, gimme that ring, baby! And even the Entomb, the Wombo is hitting, and it's hitting hard. Down they go. If they only pick the healer. Kel'Thuzad and Lucio are both dead. Great setup that we just saw there. And it was, of course, also at the most opportune time for the Gallenbanger, because we're seeing it come down right as the next shrine is on the map, and that should give them another Punisher here. 20 already, far ahead, and that was just brutal. Good play from Thronic too, by the way, on his Zeratul, and that just terrifies me for Club Carajo in the late game, because as I said before, once the 16 is Void Slashes in, that's when he really just spikes and peaks, so he's already doing a great job. And they have 5 kills against 0. It is going to be pretty tough. Let's take a quick look at the numbers. We currently have, in terms of damage, Jaina on 10k. It's not really a game where you see too much damage being put out. It's just like explosive damage on a single target to secure a kill that we're seeing here. I love that also Leoric in the last fight, just for good measure, threw in his own ult to make this happen. Talking about throwing stuff in, now we see a bit of an interrupt here. Get the fuck out of the game from Stukov. No more Lucio in this fight. Well, he's trying to come in here and has a sound barrier. Void ring fails completely. Sound barrier hits one, saves at least Khaldor for now, but the rest of the team is in trouble. And no! Once again, the money Leoric Entomb. Stukov is a bit too late to drop the silence, so Garrosh is able to throw at least one target out. But this is brutal, and there goes Reyna. Jimmy is down. And the Punisher just stops one hit away from taking down Lucio too. Had mercy with the oversized minion. And that can be appreciated. The Punisher is a gentle soul, and I absolutely appreciate him for that. Stukov caught in a really good combo from Krieg on his Khaldor. Not really too much that he could do there. Up to the top, now Holy Ben still trying to get some experience for the team. Now keep in mind, one of the problems they had was that they were not on level 13 as the fight started. So that's a bit of a problem. Did he start? Yeah, he's just stage dived in. That's of course one way how you can utilize a stage dive. You just realize that your macro is so shit that you need something to catch those experience from minions once that they push into your towers and you don't have the time for the rotation anymore. One way how to deal with it. Jokes aside, it wasn't necessarily the dumbest move from him to do that. But again, with everything, the way that they're playing, I still think a mosh pit would have been good. Even if it gets interrupted, you force your opponent to hold certain talents back, and you can always try and go for a one-man mosh pit and try and get some isolation kills or something like that. So that's something that we're going to check out too. That being said, up to the top, we're now having Urel playing it very, very safe. Uh-oh, Khaldor doesn't, but he's the bait. The problem is the bait might still die, and it gets away by the 3-man ring. And here comes the Entomb right after, and Khaldor just runs away like the coward he is while his teammates are getting obliterated. You baited them. You are the one they were trying to save. It was you, and you betrayed them afterwards. A real man would have turned around, would have tried to change the tides of the battle and died trying, but no, he ran away. Keeps at least one of them safe and on the map, right? But yeah, 16 versus 14, 9 kills against 0, and yeah, Zeratul is just everywhere at this point. Goes in, and it is brutal. Die geilen Banger. Hart brutal heute. They're banging away. The Void Slash is in, by the way, now. Oh, Jimmy! Jimmy! You are in the wrong area, wrong spot in town, but gets away thanks to Garrosh. Look at that. Well played. Leoric on the other hand. Krokette! Krokette! Ah, da war sie weg, die Krokette. Bye bye, my friend. Void Prison on the other hand is once again solid. No ring this time, but who needs a ring if you have a Void Slash? Goes in, bam, there's the kill, and they want Ben as well. Ben. Haha, goes down. Stukov says, boys, I got this. Lurking arm. And that's the end of him. Job well done. It's a little bit of a slaughter. Die geilen Banger really, really on track with their play here. And in terms of talents, I mean, Garrosh hasn't completed his yet. Stukov is working on his level 1. We have another shrine active on the map. There's another camp that's being taken at the same time from the blue team. So die geilen Banger currently aiming for another Punisher here. And it's going to be tough going. Club Carajo doesn't have 16. This is really the moment when you have to decide, okay, do we YOLO this? Or are we going to be fine and just wait for 16 and try and defend with it? And they are currently looking very much like they're going to try and YOLO. The problem is that Urel is still in the middle of the map. He's not going to be able to get enough experience to get 16. Bot lane is also heavily pressured by several waves right now, and Urel is going to take care of that. One of the reasons why she went for Divine Steed, because as you can imagine, it's a bit easier to roam between the lanes if you have that talent. But here comes the push topside, so it's the 16 that they're looking for, and with 16 they're going to try and defend, and Urel is delivering the 16 as we speak, but then she also needs to join the fun, because that Punisher is approaching the gate as we speak. And yes, Urel gets the 16, there we go. Now Lucio is a real boy who does real heals, thanks to 16 talent, look at that. Happy days. Nice bait of the Punisher over the wall. Wall's broken, so now they have to be careful. Void Prison against one. Ring setup. Looks like we don't get one, but as they run away, we might get that Entomb, and yes we do, baby! No ring just yet, though. Jaina is blanking a little bit. There it comes. Does hit only one, and the kill against Zeratul this time. Setup not as good as in the previous fights from the Galen Banger. Instead, it was this time the blue team who really fired back. Saved their keep, and took a kill. They were a little bit late. Jaina didn't really do a whole lot after the ring, first of all, after the Void Prison came down, but then also after we saw the Entomb, she was a little bit too late with her own. So, yeah. Nice attempt, but no keep just yet. Hungering Cold as well. So Telthas is trying to get the damage in, and we're going to try and put some numbers on that. 26,000 for him. Definitely top damage in the team. Reyna is far away from that, but it's not quite on the same level as we're seeing Zeratul pull off here. And how could it be? He is on 16, and he is taking names this game. So, with that being said, let's see if we're going to have a bit of a comeback, shall we? Club Carajo, all of a sudden, back on the scoreboard. 12 kills against 2 is not too promising, but at least they were able to defend their keep. They have still a fort in the middle. And if they get a couple of good setups and fights and even talents, they might be able to make a difference here. But obviously, with all the cooldowns coming back online for the guy in Banger, it could also just be another ring combo after Void Prison that rips them apart. ETC is now using his global a lot better. As you can see, Kiraji is up to the top and is now always ready to just stage dive in. So he's using it exactly the way that it's supposed to. Moves even back. God knows why. I certainly don't. Like, he was on full mana on hit points. I guess worried that there was a rotation coming his way. Fair enough. I guess he was afraid. I guess he just saw someone disappear from the minimap, was afraid that he would get caught. Fair enough. Be back. Not gonna rip him for that at all. Stage dive could always jump out, but then you sacrifice the cooldown. There's nothing to be gained anymore at the top side. So yeah, if you're not aware where your opponent is and you're afraid they might go for a rotation, then by all means just Hearthstone back and re-engage here. So yeah, that's fine. 20 nearly ready for them. And that's, of course, the big one. I actually expected that Team Carajo or Club Carajo would go and try and force a fight on 16 talents. I'm a little bit dumbfounded that they didn't. It was really their window where they could force fights on even talents. And I don't quite understand what the play for them is going to be once their opponent is 20. Because it just doesn't seem like they're going to have a good time with this. They're going to try and rush 20 as well, but it should not really work out with the Shrine. 20, by the way, is scary right now. First of all, we're having ETC going into the death metal. That's one. But another one is also, as usual, the Entomb with Buried Alive, the extra silence on top of it. It's just brutal. This is a weird setup also. If you want a trap, go here, or go here. And you can hope for them to run into this. Over here, you're not going to do anything, but going for a straight up fight. Could have gone here, but even double checking. Good job from Stukov. Not just simply throwing something in there and then walking that line anyways. Instead, throws it in, walks back, waits to see what's there, nothing happens, and then he has all the time in the world. So, once again, a move up to the top for more experience. And they might have to take a few structures out for that too, to achieve that in the long run. But this is giving up the Punisher completely, and this is another Arcane Punisher. This is tough, guys. Again, I really expected them to force a fight at 16 talents, because that was when they were finally on an even talent here. But as it happens right now, not quite the case. And that Arcane Punisher is gonna hurt. Also, this wave is not gonna give them 20 either. They needed to keep someone up there for this wave and maybe even take some structures down to get that tickle experience. That close to 20 would have helped them. So, I'm a little bit terrified for them, to be honest. They are currently opening themselves up to a Punisher attack against Storm Talons while they don't have them, and that is terrifying. Right now, the guy in Banger, they want to bang this out. They want to make sure that they're gonna get their first victory in this best of 3 series, I can tell you that much. Jumping in as we speak with the Punisher. Here comes the attack onto the keep itself, but already Jimmy throwing his own Hyperion out. Wait for Zeratul, gets the damage in the back. Quick blink, slash blinks out, and he waits for the Void Prison, he waits for the setup. So does Leoric, both of them trying to land their ults here. 20 is still not there for Club Carajo. They're in trouble, and in a lot of that too. Triple Void Prison, where's that ring? And there it is, and down goes Khaldor. Down goes Jim Raynor, and this is going to be the end of game number 1. Khaldor is back to business, but I don't think it's going to matter anymore. That core is falling, and it's falling fast. The Geilenbanger are going to take game number 1 against Club Carajo here at Division 4 of Heroes launch. GG and well played. Game number 2, everyone. The Geilenbanger. They banged through game number 1, didn't they? Pretty impressive performance by them. Would not be shocked to see a Zeratul ban coming in game number 2 from Club Carajo, because Thronic definitely did a number on them in a lot of these instances. Battlefield of Eternity is going to be map number 2, so we're going to see a lot of fighting over there. I think the chances of Club Carajo would also increase if they would pick a healer this time. I said it before, like, I was joking around with chat actually a little bit on Twitch, and I would prefer even LiLi over Lucio. The hero in general might be fine, but in the current patch he's just not useful whatsoever. And it is a problem, and it still gets picked and nearly never wins a single game, and if he does, then it's despite Lucio, not because of him. If at some point Blizzard buffs him, I'm completely fine with Lucio. It's not a principle thing, but right now he just doesn't offer enough in these games that we are seeing here to make a difference. And more or less literally any other healer, you recognize I said healer, so that excludes Brightwing, would be better and offer more. But we'll see how they're going to play it. I personally still think they should at least ban out Zeratul, because even though it's Battlefield of Eternity, I think Thronic might try and look onto that again. The setup that they had was actually a little bit terrifying. So we're going to see how that's going to work out for them. Okay, so for now we have Garrosh banned. But here is the reaction from Club Carajo, and this is what I'm interested in. How are they adjusting to that? Ophia was the first one to take out, that's fine, but is there going to be an adjustment to game number 1? Or are they just going to stick? Yeah, they're sticking with the frontline ban. Fair enough. No Zeratul banned out. No ban against any of the components that we had in the first game. And yeah, let's see. I wouldn't really commit to like a first pick Zeratul or anything like that, but they could definitely sneak him in later if they want to go into a similar composition with a bit of a wombo component again. Hanzo first of all, catering to the map, I like that a lot. Trying to rush the Immortal down. Again, normally when we're looking at the Division 1 games that we've seen recently or higher level, then Tyrande plays a huge role. That's something that isn't as attractive to people in the lower divisions, but you have to also remember this isn't quite Division 7, we're in Division 4, so we're middle of the pack right now. And Vala. Oh, what are you doing to me? Vala Artanis. We come back to an old talking point. Artanis, for a lot of teams, in their head it's connected with having good rush against the Immortal, and they feel that the hero can offer a lot, but they fall into a very similar trap that people do with Lucio, where Artanis seems to offer a lot, but he actually doesn't really. Now don't get me wrong, the rush on the Immortal is good, and with Vala they are also now trying to go into an arrow build, I would assume, so to rush that down completely. Problematic with Vala is that you need to keep her alive somehow, and she's pretty squishy at this point, and especially in the current meta. So if you don't run a double support, and I don't expect Club Carajo to do that, then you're gonna have trouble keeping Vala alive unless the Vala player really knows how to play very passive, and I hope for his sake that he knows how to do that. But Artanis has also in the past not really offered a whole lot. Like, he depends highly on creating opportunities with swaps, and very few of the Artanis players that we saw recently were able to do that. So I get the thought process behind it with the amateur opponent on level 1, but it's oftentimes better to rely on a different solo laner in getting more value in team fights, in setups on a global scale, or even against the Immortal here. So bans against Nubarak after we've seen Stukov taken again and Li Ming, so that's a lot of poke already. That's reset potentials for Li Ming. We have great poke during the phase. It's something that we pointed out in the past a lot actually, that Li Ming in those standoffs in the middle is fantastic, and she is very, very often a go-to hero on this map. And the Tyrande ban is a safe one. I actually don't really think that Club Carajo would really look at Tyrande, but it's a great ban regardless from the Geilenbanger, just to eliminate that as a possibility. And after Vala and Artanis, okay, Johanna, where do we go from here? LiLi. As I said, definitely better. Definitely better. At least they didn't pick Lucio. Now, LiLi is not necessarily the best healer in the game, but she is kinda easy to play, she has an impact, and she can add value. So I would prefer other heroes over LiLi, but I definitely prefer her over running another Lucio this game. You have a little bit, or you have more heals, you can also, when you stay in the back, really get your ult through, and on top of that, you have a blind, in case when you need it, can play with a serpent a bit too. So ETC and LiLi coming again, so the same offlaner and main tank that we saw in the last game. ETC again comes with a couple of disadvantages, but it worked quite well for them in game number 1. Keep in mind they have a very similar setup actually with Stukov, ETC, the power slide into silence, and then there's 2 heroes to capitalize on it with damage, so they didn't change too much. Valeera comes in on the last pick. Oh my god, Club Carajo. They're going all out in game number 2. Valla, Artanis, LiLi and Valeera. Oh boy. Let's see if that works out. Is Valeera gonna get the kills? That's gonna be the big question as we're heading into Battlefield of Eternity. Game number 2 in Battlefield of Eternity. Die geilen Banger in the lead. And to the left with Fubbles on Leoric, Thronic on Liming, Kiraji on ETC, Croquette on Hanzo, and Grazzle on Stukov. And to the right side, Nekomimi on LiLi, Holy Ben on Artanis, Creek on Valeera, Scipio on Valla, and BQ Less on Johanna. As expected, arrow build for Valla, that's kind of what you have to go for. And we're seeing the crippling poison on the side of Valeera, the amateur opponent as already expected, and LiLi heading into the free drinks for now. Now, I talked about compositions a bit in the past, and I actually want to use the opportunity to do exactly that again. Like, as I said, if you really want to improve as a team and you are very low in an amateur league and you want to go up, that's what we're seeing on the side of the guy in Banger is actually quite nice. Because if you look at the setup that they have, they switched out a few heroes to cater to the map, but their core is the same. They still play the same tank, they play the same follow-up as a healer with the silence coming in, and they have even the same offlaner. So the idea is still similar. They are trying to set up a mage to get the damage in with cooldowns and stacking them. But they switched from Jaina to Liming because she's stronger for the map. But the core principle behind the draft is still identical to what they played in game number 1, or at least to a large part. And that's something that's always good if you have a bit of an identity as a team and you have a bit of a thought process. So they're already showing here that they are a bit flexible with how they are playing it. And I bet you that for every single role that they have 2 or 3 heroes that would fit in that role and would still somehow cater to that particular playstyle, so that they are flexible if an opponent bans a hero out and don't completely fall apart here. That being said, now of course they're going up against a very different beast, because that Immortal Rush composition with the Valeera in the middle might make things different, and we're going to have to find out how much Creek can actually do here. But you can already see that Scipio is struggling a bit on Valla to keep her alive, and that's the big problem with Valla that you have. That she is just so unbelievably squishy that you have to be very, very far back in order to get that value. Only attack the closest target, or this will happen. Might get away here, but this is exactly the point. What happened here is that Scipio was actually looking towards a way juicier target in the back. ETC was still at the side, so Valla got baited too much in, and then bam, ETC slides up and puts in a bad spot. And if Liming would have had a combo ready at the time, that Valla might have been the result there. So, as a Valla player, you have to pretty much play very similar, unless you get the kill shot in, to the Reina of old. Always attack the closest target. Here comes the attack again. Valeera trying to get a kill, but Creek is low. Hanzo's arrow. Liming trying to get the hits in, or barely dodged, and she gets away. But it's a close call for sure. Not really an easy escape by any means. Level 1, by the way, the Force Armor on the side of Liming. And with that being said, Immortal Time is going to make things interesting because of the race. Now, when we're looking at all of this, even with Hanzo, the race of Club Carajo is pretty decent. It's really good, so there's a lot of race potential for them. At the same time, though, the kill count, the poke is really solid for the Geilen Banger. So it is going to be, I feel, tough for Club Carajo to do anything here. They need a little bit of a snowball. If they can get some kills, maybe if Ben gets a good swap in, allows for a kill, that would be great. But it's really Valeera that they have to watch out for. Alright, trying to deal with the camp at the bot lane first. Maybe even giving up the halftime show for that. Already a little bit of damage here. Krieg is sitting in the bush, is waiting for the chance, and uh-oh! That was a mistake. Li Ming nearly getting taken down there. That was definitely a mistake by Thronic. A little bit too YOLO, walking right into the trap. Not really paying too much attention. A little bit uncharacteristic, considering his play in game 1. But he's able to pull it off, and now Valera gets nearly stunned into the Immortal Stun. Able to get away. Thronic with a good prediction, gets even an AWP in. And Artanis attacked once again. The defense is strong from the Geilen Banger. Here comes the AWP. Shield procs. Vala in trouble though. She's trying to get away. And Thronic gets a hit and is looking for the AWP but doesn't find that yet. It's a bit of a bloody nose that Club Carajo just got here, but they're able to walk away in one piece. The problem, of course, being that now the map is open for the blue team to rotate Hanzo over to the Immortal and start firing away here. Scatter, scatter, baby. Taking down those hits points as if it was nothing. Same time, attack number 2 is on the way. They're trying to move in here. Hanzo is joining. Croquette is ready. And here come the Sons of the Immortal again. Good setup. ETC is looking for the power slide. Waits for the cooldown. Artanis jumps into the back. They're trying to go for Hanzo. Nearly get him, but he jumps over. And the kill against Stukov. Well done. Getting the kill, super important, but here again the power slide for the setup. In comes Valera and they get kill number 2. They barely survive, but they do. It's a close call, but they get the 2 kills, they survive, and now they can still fight over this. But Hanzo with the quick snipe against Vala, and that is the end of her. Well done by him. Still Artanis trying with the amateur opponent to get some damage in, and they're moving straight into Hanzo. Hanzo who? Yep, exactly. He's gone, dead, sucked in by the Condemn, and then obliterated. But the rest is coming in. And keep in mind, Li Ming is waiting for the resets here. LiLi gets away for now. Valera takes down Li Ming. Valera herself might pay the price, but she got the kill. That was a lot of the damage gone. Very well played, yeah. This is really intense. I mean, everybody is so low when we're looking at Club Carajo, but they're 4 kills against 1 now. Vala still got a couple of additional shots in, and they have won the halftime show already earlier. So now Vala is starting to make her move. Everybody is just starting to race. Artanis arrives, and that should be a big win for the red team. Look at Club Carajo. Looking solid here. Level 7 has just now come in, though, and that's where Li Ming gets her Calamity. If Calamity would have been available in the last fight, then this would have looked very different. But then again, would have, could have, should have, who cares? It wasn't available in the last fight, and so it didn't really play a role. So we're gonna find out if it's gonna change things from here on out. Already, wave clear attempt. Immortal isn't quite there yet, but is on the way. And again, Valera at the side. Getting some damage in, but not enough. Silence procs out. And let's see how much they can do with that. Top lane is still held by Leoric and by Artanis, but down here, the fights are coming in. The wall is about to be broken. The slide comes through. Vala way too far out again. Way too far out here. LiLi is trying to heal everybody up, and the kill against ETC. There's again the weakness of ETC. If he can't set it up, if he's the one that gets targeted, that is oftentimes what happens. And Valera is taking that opportunity immediately with a kill shot coming from Vala. 5 kills against 1. We could see a tie in this series, but then again, game is far from being over right now, especially with Thronic just getting one combo after another and then trying to get the resets. Once that he gets that done, that might be a bit of a disaster. They did get the fort though. They did not get the fort, so that didn't really work out for them. Division 4 here continues to deliver. Biotic armor, by the way, taken on Stukov. Helps with the survivability a little bit. We're having the long pitch as well for the increased range and the weighted pustule. So not really that massive focus into the lurking arm that we oftentimes see. Not really playing too heavily around the silence here. Of course, still using it after ETC's follow. And there we go. Should be a silence. Seemed to have been on cooldown still. At least was a little bit of a late commit to it. But this combo could be so much more devastating on level 13 in particular, where we have the virulent reaction and Stukov with the ability to lock a target into the ground. If you have the silence after power slide and you lock someone down, that is absolutely great. Level 10 abilities are there, by the way. And we have Valera with a Cloak of Shadows taken here. Cloak of Shadows. And we also have the blind from Artanis. Massive amount of blinds in this game. Not only LiLi and Johanna, but also going into Artanis for it. So trying to really mitigate a lot of the pressure. ETC again eating the damage, and he is not the only one. Yep, there comes the Blessed Shield. They're going in. Where's the Condemn? There it is, but there's no damage follow-up. Nobody went in with Johanna, but they could have gotten a kill there. LiLi threw out the ult. No problem with that. Well, they tried to get the ults out just to force a fight down here. And didn't quite work out for them because, well, they didn't kill anything. But still, we don't have the blue team with the heroic abilities just yet. This one should fall because of the camp. But they're giving up a little bit of time on the Immortal, which doesn't really matter because the blue team doesn't actually go for it. They were afraid because of the level 10 abilities. Now everybody has heroics. Cooldowns are still active for the opponent's team, but it's a halftime show race anyways. The keep of Ford at the bot lane is already gone. And now this is the big one. Mosh Pit this time over Stage Dive. Ults are coming back for the red team. Club Carajo nearly has them ready. And now the big question, can they make the plays now? Blessed Shield and especially LiLi's heal should be up in a second. And already they're going in and trying to burst it down, and they're doing well with it. Blue team has to defend at some point. There comes the slide, there comes the mosh pit, and the immediate interrupt. Not even a second later. Interrupt right away. Lira gets away, and here's the heal from LiLi, keeping everyone in play. Kiroji is low, and he dies again. Again, we're having the focus onto Artanis, not really working too well for them. They're trying to also get the Immortal at the same time. Scipio is firing away with one arrow after another, hits another one home. Valera goes down, but they still get the counter kill against Zukov, and they have the objective to Croquette with a bit of an unfortunate jump here. Vala hoping for a bit of RNG with another arrow, but that didn't work out. But 7 kills against 2, and another Immortal taken. ETC's mosh pit attempt interrupted right away by Vala, keeping herself in the back and then having the interrupt ready. And just look how much easier this game is once that you have a healer in your composition. So right now, we're having still a lead, but again, there is a lot of combo potential from the Banger. So that definitely happens. Artanis also is getting a bit more value this game than the normal Artanis plays that we've seen. He didn't even really commit to a whole lot in the last game, but he does a lot of work. Let's look at his damage a bit. Sitting at 18,000 isn't really too bad. And having the extra blind here for the big team fights that we're seeing, with usually massive stacking, that really works out for them too. Obviously, as you can see here on the damage output too, Valera is doing well. I mean, 17,000 for her. It's not really on the level of Vala or Artanis, but she gets the kills in. Then again, this time she's in trouble. They're trying to keep her alive. Here's the heals once more. And they might just... Yes, they save her. They actually save her. With all the blinds and everything, they're able to keep her alive. And now they're trying to turn it around. Valera is already going for Hanzo. Doesn't get him. Is once again trapped, but gets away. LiLi with the heals. And they are saved. 13 versus 11. Actually worked out for them. Can't believe that they saved her. Entomb and everything was dropped. But still, she stays in the game. Another attempt to go for the fort at the top, and they are about to get this one. So that means that we have 2 lanes pushing with catapults in every third wave. It's going to be really, really good for them. The Banger, they are a little bit in trouble. I mean, not too much. They're a little bit behind, right? They are talent behind, they're kills behind. They're losing a bit of ground on the map, but they still can come back into this with one good fight. This is what has to be scary for Club Carajo. Don't stack against Mosh Pit. And they've been stacking quite a bit. But they always kept someone away that could get the stun to interrupt it. And they have a lot. I mean, even if you only have Artanis there, he can either try and swap, or he can simply go and blind everyone and mitigate at least some of the damage. But now in 10 seconds, another Immortal spawns, and that means that we're going to see a head start for Club Carajo. 13 isn't there yet. They're even setting up a trap. I like that too. Trying to be sneaky here. Okay, here comes the army. But they're playing it safe. I like the way that the Banger are playing it safe in their rotations. They have rarely face-checked the bush. Playing usually very well around that. Again, here's the attack on Vala. The heals come out immediately, but this time it's just simply not enough. Vala goes down. Artanis is low and might fall as well. The blinds are coming through the entire time here, but Artanis is biting the dust, and that's a double kill for the Banger. And all of a sudden, we're seeing maybe a third one coming in too. Krieg gets wrecked. And that is that. 3 down, LiLi on the run. Johanna walking away. And that game turned quickly. 7 kills against 5. Well executed here from the blue team. It feels like the red team, it feels like Club Carajo is a little bit torn always between do we go for the Immortal, do we go for the fight, and then they got baited into that. And a lot comes down again to Vala just being too far in. Vala needs to play safer. It's the unfortunate reality these days that as a Vala player you are in trouble if you're too far out, if your opponent reacts well, and that's exactly what the blue team did. So now they're moving in, trying to defend. Lines are there. They have a lot. Blessed Shield, all the cooldowns are ready and back to action. Blessed Shield already thrown out, and that could be the end of Stukov. He survives for now, but barely gets away and is split from the rest of the team. Yeah, down goes Stukov as we're having Vala follow him and drop him, and now Leoric falls as well. A double kill as Team Geile Banger trying to go for the objective. Thronic with a combo, and he doesn't get the Immortal. But ETC does. The problem is it's a 5-man team wipe now that he attempted to go for it. They lost everyone. They YOLO'd in and they said, screw it guys, let's just get the Immortal, let's just make sure we're not in any danger to lose a keep here. Even if we lose the entire team, it doesn't matter anymore. But I am not so certain if that was really worth it. Because right now, we are looking at a 2-level lead. And this bad boy isn't gonna do jack shit. Yeah, he is already gonna wrecked by Artanis and by Vala quite easily. He might be able to make it through the wall, but that's about it. I would be... Yeah, he's not even gonna get the second tower. He didn't even get the gate. Got nothing. Absolutely nothing. 12 kills against 5. It's a really entertaining game. It's definitely also different quality from Division 7. I mean, you can definitely see a progression here. Oh, nice trap again. Belira is getting a little bit too cocky these days, but moves away with the Cloak of Shadows. He has the silence. They're going for ETC. They're trying to get him. No swap, by the way, from Artanis. Cooldowns exchanged, but no one dying just yet. But as I was about to say, you can definitely see like a lot of skill progression between Division 7 and Division 4 already. I mean, so far we didn't really have that particular one. But there's a lot of combos, and plays get actually punished. I'm not saying everything is getting punished, and I'm definitely not saying there are no mistakes. But you can see a lot now how entombs are being thrown out a lot faster to isolate the hero and punish him. How combinations are a lot crisper. How there's very little face check going on from the blue team, how they're double checking a bush before they're moving into it. So there's a lot of these elements that you're missing in Division 7 that if you're comparing those directly, you can really tell the difference between the levels of skill here. Obviously there are a lot of mistakes. Obviously when the shit hits the fan and there's a huge team fight happening, there are some mistakes, cooldowns being stacked or maybe someone out of position. But there's definitely another level to it. I mean, already, you know, the setup here, threatening the quick entomb, trying to see if they can do something around that. Silencers that are held back until the initial stun is let down. So I kind of like that. It's actually pretty cool to cast different levels of play these days, because you can see how players and teams progress and how gradually they're getting better, and there is definitely improvement. So now, no fight, because 16 is currently not there, so they don't want to really engage into anything. I still feel they should use Hanzo a little bit more to get shots in. I think that's something that the Geile Banger could definitely do. But they give up the halftime show because they won 16, and now they're ready for the defense, and they're going to set this up. Krieg has been in this bush a lot. I think by now they know. And, well, no, they're not really expecting that yet. He's playing with fire, in my opinion. If that's being seen, yeah, he goes for Li Ming, tries to get the kill, but immediately the attack against him. Good silence, good blind coming out here. And Krieg is still in trouble. The heals come in, he moves out of the heals, shouldn't do that, but they can turn it around and they go for Li Ming and they go for ETC once more. Here comes the arrow, there comes the mosh pit attempt, not quite. Valera down, but Stukov falls, the mosh pit is in, the flip, and the kill as ETC is dead. No, yeah, a lot of beef today. Down goes Phobos, Leoric is dead, and they're moving in again. The quick kill attempts by Valera are actually anticipated by the Geile Banger in the last few fights, but still, the damage is oftentimes done, the exchanges happen, and then it is an advantageous situation for Club Carajo. And the LiLi heals are working so well. I mean, at this point, I know it's a bit of a meme, and I don't really want to rip it too hard, but seriously, if you compare what the value from a LiLi, and again, LiLi is not the best hero in the game by any means, they are the best healer. There are definitely others that I would have preferred for them to take. But compare the value that LiLi currently offers in these team fights to what we are seeing from the standard Lucio play. So there's a massive difference. Every time saving a hero, saving a target, getting a couple of blinds in 2, helping out with the Mending Serpent. That's one of the reasons why sometimes in jest, sometimes for real, I'm ripping Lucio all this much. Again, with the new patch, things could change for him, but right now it's just not the best hero here. But the value here is definitely there for Club Carajo. That's what we're seeing right now. So we're seeing them go and try to get the first keep of the game. Already top lane is pushing too. It's another big benefit because there's a catapult or 2 maybe even moving in. Another great shot from Stukov. But again, Valera with a burst damage. They're trying to go for ETC. The keep is down and they could immediately move back here. They're looking to go core though. They're trying to see if they can get a kill, and they might actually. They're going in, they go for Stukov and he's down. Here come the LiLi heals again. Entomb is there, but Leoric is dead, and this could very well be game number 3 as we are going straight for the core here. The shield's already completely gone and they are just focusing that thing down. We are going to see a third game between the Geilenbanger and Club Carajo. GG and well played. Great game. Game number 3, the Geilenbanger against Club Carajo. And the last game definitely shook things up. And that was an interesting one for sure. Definitely shows also the power of having a bit more coordination, and especially the Valera attacks were pretty solid. A little bit greedy, to be honest with you, and didn't really get punished enough for the way forward play, but it worked out in the end for them, and they forced game number 3, which is going to happen on Towers of Doom. So we might actually see in this game now a couple of targeted bans. I'm still a bit more worried now about the Zeratul than I was even before. On Battlefield of Eternity, it's maybe not the best pick there, but it's definitely a hero that you can pick on Towers of Doom. And so right now, that's something that I'm a little bit concerned about when we're talking about Club Carajo, because Thronic's Zeratul play was pretty great. People also ask a little bit more. There's a Valera respect ban. People asked a bit more about the level of play here. Now again, as I said before, it is Division 4, and I checked a couple of the accounts between games, and a lot of the players here are Diamond and Master level in Team League. Very few actually play Hero League, so there's very little to go on. But when you're looking at Team League ranking, then a lot of them find themselves in Diamond or in Master League for that. So that's what we're currently looking at with Division 4. As a comparison, if you're looking Division 1, and that's Hero League, not Team League, you have a lot of Grandmasters and Master players play there. So yeah, this is mostly Team League players that are playing in those. Alara currently taken out again. Really not too keen about these combos when teams are stacking up. So all burst damage from the melee currently, trying to negate that. We're having, for now, the last ban coming in, and I really want to see is an adjustment. Are they going to ban just like Diablo or Garrosh again like they did in the previous games? Mal'Ganis, by the way, not playing a really big role here in this series so far. So as you can see, as we're moving away from Division 7, he finds a little bit less value. And there is the targeted ban. I like that a lot. For Towers of Doom, getting rid of Zeratul makes a lot of sense. They give Diablo up, and Diablo gets insta-picked by their opponent. That was so far their second ban. So they made a choice here and said, okay, give him Diablo, take away Zeratul. We're a little bit more afraid of him. Could, of course, mean that Diablo is going to absolutely ruin their day now, but that Zeratul play from Thronic was just pretty good in game number 1, so I feel like that was an absolute warranted choice to say, let's get rid of that hero for now. First 2 picks, Dehaka and Johanna. Look at that, global play. We're going to see global offlaner, and we're having Johanna now taken for that too. Kind of like that pick. I really think that if Dehaka has good burrow timings and get those tracks connected, they will get a lot out of this. Having the top lane under control is always nice. For me, the question now remains, what are we going to see for the Geilenbanger? Are we going to see for the offlane maybe a Urel, maybe a Blaze, both of them still highly played? Thrall instead, okay. Yeah, you can definitely see the higher we go, the more of a value Blaze and Urel immediately have again. And the old school combo of Diablo, Deckard Cain and Urel can still be played these days. I mean, back then it had like a 13-0 win streak in HGC Europe. Stukov, traditional pick for the Geilenbanger. They really like the Admiral here. So they're trying to get those silence set up again. Thrall, of course, could still be in the 4-man rotation if he goes into Trash Lightning. We're going to find out, but I would expect him to be up at the top with Echo of Elements. And the Anubarak ban again. They really seem to be afraid of an Anubarak coming in as a third melee. They banned him out in the previous game too. Not quite sure if that's really the biggest concern, especially after Thrall was claimed. But then again, we have seen Anubaraks on the off lanes in the lower divisions, which always surprised me a bit. But if you play a lot around the Cocoon and the extra stun, that might be a concern. So damage is what we are still waiting for. And Khaldor gets banned out, so a bit afraid of facing that again. Club Carajo played Khaldor in game number 1, and apparently Galen Banger don't want to face that here. But we have Kel'Thas around if you want to go for the Fire Mage. We have Jaina for burst damage. Li Ming is available. You can still play around Hanzo. And let's not forget, we're even having Genji available, who so far was completely ignored in the entire series. Hasn't been banned, hasn't been picked. Nobody really willing to go for him. Instead, we have Gnomi and a LiLi again. Apparently, we're having the choice between Lucio and LiLi in this game from the support of Club Carajo. And to be honest, then I'll take the little panda any day of the week. So and LiLi actually worked out really well for them. Question now just being, if a Sundering comes in on Thrall, is he just going to hold it and waits until LiLi gets her ult through and tries to cancel it out? That's one of the big questions. So there's the Jaina, okay. And Maiev, look at that. She's oftentimes banned very early on in Division 1 and the higher levels. One of the first bans to come through, and if not an early pick, but in this particular case she makes it all the way down to the bottom of the last pick. So we have Cage, we have Apocalypse, maybe even Earthquake, and Jaina with a good old Ring of Frosts, presumably. So it's a lot of damage. Could definitely work out for them. And how is Club Carajo going to kind of act that? Oh, what? Lunara? Now talk about a hero that I didn't expect. What about Jimmy, baby? Jimmy would have been a good one here too, but they go into a Lunara. That is an odd pick to say the least. But okay, let's see if they can keep Lunara alive. I expected even auto attacker to see Jimmy again. That's not the case. So, well, let's head straight into game number 3 and see what they're going to do here. Game number 3, the final match in the best of 3. The geilen Banger against Club Carajo. Fubbles on Thrall for the Banger. Thronic on Maiev. Kiraji on Diablo. Grassel on Sukov. And Croquette on Jaina. Kartoffeln! On the right side of the map, Club Carajo with Creek on Lunara. Holy Ben on Dehaka. Nekomimi on LiLi, Biaculus on Johanna, and Scipio on Chromie. Echo of Elements, by the way, for Thrall, the War Chief, with the choice. And let's get the show on the road. Let's see what we're going to get from this game. I am excited to see how much Lunara can do here. I don't expect a lot, to be honest with you. I think she's going to struggle to stay alive, but I might be wrong. I really expect a Jimmy. I think Jimmy would have been fantastic here, but if they feel that with Lunara they're going to get a bit more out of it, just simply because the damage over time, then hey, by all means, show me what you got, baby. I'm ready for it. Dehaka is at the top and Lunara is already moving down. I mean, it of course comes down to Scipio to a big extent as well, right? Like trying to get the stacks together with Chromie, trying to get the damage in. So far it's a Sandblast focus on his part. We've seen Chromies in the lower divisions heavily spec into Dragon's Breath. And to be absolutely honest, if you have opponents that are facing off against you that are not really good at dodging any of that when they see the animation coming through, then you can do a whole lot with Chromie. It's just, again, a very experimental setup that we're seeing for Club Carajo. And I feel that was a bit the name of the game throughout all 3 games. But it really worked out in the last one, didn't it? It was actually pretty solid there. Either way, we're now already seeing the attempt to go for one of the camps here, and they actually look for potential invade even. Double check what's happening over at the camp of their opponent, don't see anything, so just like early shenanigans here for now. Dehaka and Thrall have taken the top lane, which is also one of the reasons, by the way, why we didn't see Trash Lightning being picked, but Echo of Elements, because he's not part of the 4-man rotation. I mean, we talked about this a bit earlier. If you really want to go into extra damage on your level 1 and go into Crash Lightning, then normally you are part of an early rotation. It's a talent that can give you value, let's say, on Volskaya, mostly Battlefield of Eternity, but Echo of Elements is just really fantastic, especially once that your level 16 kicks in. Unless, of course, you feel the need to spec into the Alpha Wolf. Good move. Iron Skin being used to keep Johanna out of the tether from Thronic as he's trying to make the plays with Maiev. Nice push into the middle of the pack though. And immediately Krieg is getting the damage in. Johanna moves out. LiLi brings the heals. And has on top of that, of course, also the silent available. And all of a sudden, Thronic is getting the damage pushed onto him because he was a little bit too greedy here. Having Ben trying to clear the middle. He's rotating between two lanes. Might have stayed a little bit too long here though. Good burrow attempt. Nice. Diablo with a fair play move. Throwing Dehaka out of the blizzard. The drag into the empty space. That's what we call zoning drag. And then Diablo finally had enough and said like, fuck you. And pushes him into the wall and takes him down. That was a Division 7 play right there. It was a cascade of small fails that we had. Not really a lot of synergy going on or communication. Everybody is like, do you have him? I got him. No, you do. Nah, I do him. Like, okay. They got the kill. That's what matters. At the end of the day, they got the kill, so it worked all out. Here's the pressure over the first few altars, and it looks like we have a lead in the game now for the red team. Club Carajo getting the double altar. And let's have a quick look at the stacks for us. Well, 14 stacks for him. Closing in on the Echo of Elements. Our 4 to 5 minutes is pretty decent for Thrall if you can get that. And I think right now he's doing fairly well at the top lane against his Dehaka opponent. We're talking about Chromie, by the way, going straight from the Mounting Sands over into the Draconic Barrage. So, oops, Lunara actually going down at the bot lane. That came a little bit out of nowhere. I mean, that rotation was telegraphed from a mile away. Didn't even expect that there was any chance of a hero dying down there, to be honest with you. But that brings us back to our problem. Lunara over Jimmy. Uh-oh, look at my F here. That's another problem. And goodbye. Chromie gets the damage in, but Diablo gets the kill. The revenge kill immediately. And he doesn't stop there. He wants to go for LiLi right away. Even the silence comes out from Grazel. The problem is that Croquette doesn't have any mana left, so there is no Jaina damage any longer. And that reduces this immediately. 7 versus 7 in terms of talents, and that means Ancestral Wrath, of course, now too for Thrall, who just completes his quest talent. Missed the 420 by 9 seconds. Still one of the high moments of this game for him. And on level 7 now we're also having the cleanse for LiLi. So all in all, I mean, the stage pretty much is going to be set once the heroic abilities are going to be in, right? We have Apocalypse that we expect. We could see Sundering into Ring of Frost. Could see the Earthquake. Depends a little bit on the setup. Sundering would be great to potentially interrupt also the jugs, but that's going to be the important one. As I'm saying this, I'm seeing choking pollen on level 7 for Lunara. What fresh hell is this? The fight is also starting up, and here comes Dehaka looking for the drag, and he is... Did he try? Like, I don't even know, but he goes in and tries and gets the damage. There's the drag, gets Stukov. They're moving in. Thronic is nearly down. Diablo's in trouble. So is Dehaka, though. And Dehaka just barely getting out, but here comes the potential kill against Stukov as Lunara goes in way too deep. Lunara is dead, Stukov survives. Welcome to the game. So, yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate there. Lunara just thought she was way more tanky than she actually is. Diablo gets taken out too, though, but the channel is completed on the altar. It's a kill for a kill at least, but yeah. Lunara is a little bit too tricky here. I don't know. Like, she went deep. She went really deep. Hibbity hop straight into the middle. This is fine. And I was just worried. I was like, dude, you're just running straight ahead into a Jaina with half HP, and there's currently one hero that... there's a Thrall that is just hitting you the entire time while you're doing it, just for the chance to maybe get the Stukov kill. And what is that still? Like, what? Why no Splintered Spear? I'm actually a little bit surprised by this, to be absolutely honest with you, because Splintered Spear is the go-to, isn't it? It really is one of these must-have talents. Maiev is suffering this game, by the way. Thronic is down again. The Chromie counter-kill attempt, and there it is. Diablo once again with the wall bash. Chromie is doing well in terms of kills and damage, but the problem is every single time that she gets a kill in or prepares one, she seems to die shortly after. Diablo, then again, is following the same lead, and he's down now too. Level 10 abilities are in. Slowing Sands. That's actually a little bit of a surprise. It's not a bad talent, don't get me wrong, but there's no cleanse on the other side. So I really expected them to go for the Temporal Loop here. Didn't expect Slow Sands to come out. Sundering. This is really what I'm looking forward to the most, because I want to see if Sundering is going to be used as an initiator, or if it's going to be used to interrupt the ult of LiLi. There are definitely a couple of ways this could play out for them now. Double altar on the map, and Dehaka still at the top. Pushing out another wave, getting the... no, not pushing out another wave. What are you doing, buddy? Why are you walking? Get the wave and tunnel in. Apparently it's not quite what he wants to do. Gets the wave in the middle instead. And we have maiev taking this one for free. Alright, fair enough. Gets the free altar, and then they start moving in. That was a little bit of a weird move here by Club Carajo. Uh-oh, Apocalypse. Yep, walks into the time trap just as they want to use it. LiLi is down though. So is Dehaka. Oh my god, it's a slaughter. Down go Johanna and Chromie. Everybody dead and dying, even with the Apocalypse not being followed up by Diablo's combo because he walked into the time trap. We're now seeing the ring come through, and that was just a disaster. That was very poorly played by Club Carajo. Let's be honest about this for a second. So first of all, they didn't even try to interrupt the channel at the bottom of the map. Then they were already in a 4 versus 5 over here because maiev was at the bottom. Didn't capitalize on that either. And then we didn't see any kind of Dehaka burrow, drag, and isolation immediately to, yeah, maybe exploit that situation. Now even a bit too far out here. That's a massive shot if I've ever seen one. And he should go. Yeah, he hits the isolation, but that is not going to help him. Like, that's a wasted ult right there. You are up against 5, buddy. You can hit as many isolations as you want. One of those guys is going to get you. Panicking a little bit. Definitely showing nerves here. That's what we're seeing from Club Carajo. 32 against 24 points on the core now. And it's starting to get a little bit rough for them. They had good kills at the beginning of the game, but then the last fight that we saw turned that on its head. So now they have to somehow see if they can maybe get some kills in. They have the heroes for it, don't get me wrong. I'm still very much so questioning the pick on Lunara, but outside of that, I still think that they have a couple of combos they can execute to take people down, especially since Diablo is exposing himself a lot. Thronic, while playing well, is also playing greedy and exposes himself a lot, which is one of the reasons why he got killed several times, because he goes far out with maiev, so you can always try and wait for an engage and then turn it around. But you can't have heroes this far out. It's a bad idea. Alright, Sundering hits, barely. Nice move with the lead, but the fight isn't over just yet, because Diablo comes in from the side, and Dehaka is so far not burrowing in. This would be a great chance to burrow in. Oh, even Apocalypse is being used for the interrupt. Alright, this is actually starting to become interesting. Down at the bottom of the map, we have a Jaina going up against Dehaka now. Everybody else is starting to rotate in. No one is going to get that altar. That's just not happening. Right now, we have more pressure against this one. Lunara is dead on the way down, and the cage has already been used to trap the rest of the team as well. They're trying to go for Johanna here, and pushed one more down to the bottom. That might actually be the altar being channeled by the red team, but nope. They're not going for Jaina. They can't get the kill here. Again, Condemn being used. Might even be able to get Johanna out alive, and indeed they do. But Lunara has fallen. Lunara has fallen, and that's the end of that. Another altar channeled by the Geilenbanger, and that is a massive, massive lead for them right now. So let's see how that's going to work out now. With that being said, we have 13 versus 14 now, so the entire game has flipped. Like, the experience lead is now in the hands of the Geilenbanger. The massive lead in terms of objective is there as well, and that is just tough. The bot lane is lost because of the continuous camps that have been sent through. They need a win, and they need a big one. They need a team fight, they need some isolation, they need something to happen, and so far it doesn't really look too pretty. The Geilenbanger have done really well, and Club Carajo had massive, massive issues with this right now. They're trying somehow to come back into it, but if maybe Chromie can soften it up, that would work, but especially Diablo started to become such a nuisance at the front, and it's these continuous picks against heroes like Lunara as well, which definitely don't help them. If you have a Jimmy, it's not only that he is more tanky than Lunara and can work with the range. One of the big advantages is having the penetrating round. And now we're having a solo kill against Dehaka from a Jaina in the middle. Now that should never happen. That is just adding insult to injury here at this point. And yeah, I think they're losing hope right now. 3 altars on the map, and that could nearly be game ending. We're not quite there yet, but if they get 2, if they get 3, then we're going to drop Club Carajo down into the single digits, and this is going to be a massive problem. They're trying to reclaim at least the bell tower at the bottom of the map, and to be honest, that might even work out, because for some reason the Gallenbanger are giving it up. They're pretty much giving it up. So it's going to be just channels. I think it's amazing that no one is guarding this. With the vision they have at the bottom of the map, why is no one here? This is a bit of a misplay from the Gallenbanger as well. Like, they could have done so much more. They had full vision of 3 to 4 heroes at the bottom who retook the tower. They could have someone here and just like poke it a little bit. There was definitely a chance for that to happen. It's 28 against 12 points on the core and a level 16 talent advantage for the blue team. But those are definitely choices that are a little bit too tricky. So instead, they really anchored around this one, had people sitting here and another 3, but that was not necessary. But they get another isolated kill against the Haka at the top. And yeah, they're just roaming the map, and it's very, very tricky to get any kind of foothold in this game for Club Carajo now. The second game was maybe a little bit weird with all the blinds that they played and got a huge success out of that. Especially seeing Artanis finally get some value was really nice and really enjoyable. But now that they don't have the Valera for this massive aggression, for those kill attempts, things are looking a lot more grim for them. Another 4 shots fired, that brings us down to the single digits. But at least an attempt to get the bell tower. The problem is they have to rotate back from this because, yep, there is the flank, and they waited too long already. Lunara is in trouble right away, jumps out, does not get hit by the sun, jumps out again. The heal is there, but LiLi now finds herself in trouble and very likely to die here. Tethered back in, flipped over, pushed around. They are bullying her from left to right and right to left. She dies. But interestingly enough, so does Jaina. The counter kill, and all of a sudden the chase is on, and goodbye Thrall. He's slowed, he's hit, he's nuked, he's dead, and now we're going to see Maiev fall too. Another quick shove coming in, but to be honest, that might be the end of Stukov now too. Lunara, you should be careful. You are not really the most hit point heavy hero in this setup right now. So okay, they get 3 kills against 1. They're still doing a lot of damage here. And maybe, just maybe, this game isn't over yet. I mean, they're going to the top now. They're getting both altars. There's no doubt about that. Can they get a bit more of map control? Can they maybe also claim control over one of the bell towers? That's another 4 shots through this one. So we're looking at 20 versus 8. We have seen crazy comebacks on this map. This is crazy comeback map number 1. No doubt about that. But we are on the exact same amount of experience for both of the teams, same level. If they can get kills like the last one a few more times, that would be fantastic for them. And there is definitely a chance for it to happen. Especially when Leoric Diablo screws up like he just did. Comes out, gets immediately dragged, trapped, and even with a delay through the time trap, he is going to fall for sure. Diablo is down, and that is not good. Lost all of his souls and is now, as you can imagine, a very, very weak Diablo. Like, he is not gonna be tanky for a long, long time. And that's the opportunity that you need to really start pushing. Especially with Maiev showing top side. Maiev shows top. That's the go signal right there. That's you standing at the traffic light and it turns screens like, go, go, go! And they get the bell tower. Of course they do. I mean, it would have been a shame if they did. So they get the bell tower. They can defend it now if they want. They can try and get a little bit more. But no matter what they do, right now the red team has started to take a lead. Maybe even throw that out a little bit farther. Hits are coming in. Stacks, by the way, now with the Thunderstorm also taken on level 16. Great for Thrall to get that poke out, so that really works for him. Bye-bye on Chrome. We haven't really talked about this a lot. Massive Sandblast build for her. I haven't really mentioned the builds too much, but a lot of the talent choice is still very much so the standard. I'm a bit surprised about the 13 of Lunara too. Against Jaina, I would have imagined to go into this the greater spell shield here. So Lunara's build is a little bit weird. I mean, the unfair advantage makes sense, but having the let them wither here, and then also the choking pollen, not really the biggest fan of that. I think going a little bit more into the standard setup might have been the play here. 61,000 damage, by the way, by Chromie. Altar channeled, and now all of a sudden it's 15 against 8 points. Dehaga played it a lot safer at the top lane, as you might have seen on the minimap. He didn't go too far out once that he saw the rotation moving away from the bot lane, so that really worked. Another trap. I don't really think that is too much. Like, you have vision now bot lane. You have the vision. You need to do something. and they are moving into the middle. Okay, they're going to try for an exchange in bell towers. They just simply say, let's move in, take this one down, and just trade. Just trade the bell towers now, let them run, let them move, let them always react to us instead of it being the other way around. That, yeah. For a second I was like, don't tell me that survives. The poison or the acid or whatever you want to call it eroded the structure quickly enough. And now the rotation is there again to the bot lane, trying to do the same thing once more. The 20 talents are also in play right now. And that gives us for Lunara the intensified toxin. So you get a lot more damage out from her, the damage over time. Alright, here's the attack. Get good damage in. And look at the blue team. The blue team is actually starting to misplay this a little bit. They're not going for a swap again. They're just trying to defend right now, which means that they have taken massive damage here in the bot lane, but they still have no control over the middle. And now the poke continues. Chromie is just not giving a shit here. She just fires away the entire time, and they're going to get this eventually. Could play it a little bit safe, but no, without the 20s there, the blue team isn't willing to risk anything. So all of a sudden, we're talking about both of the bell towers in the middle and the bottom taken by the red team. They just need to play it a bit safer right now. There's 2 altars spawning. That's immediately 12 shots if you get both of them. And there's no retreat. There is no retreat fountain for the red team. They're in a great spot here for the poke, and they're already starting to move in. Johanna, the target, as Diablo can't get his hands onto Lunara. And now we're seeing them going in for the interrupts against Croquette. Bam, here comes the Sandblast. Yeah, but they're not really going full in just yet. Here's 6 shots fired through the bottom channel, and Scipio goes down. Diablo comes in and gets the kill. Thronic is nearly falling, but he's not dead just yet. Thrall with a Sundering, but misses it against Lunara. Lunara is going to get the kill there eventually. At least she should, and yes, she does. Moves away still from the fight as we have Jaina about to fall. They're going for her, and they're gonna get her. Jaina is gonna die, but so does Lunara, as Thronic turns around and says, screw you. A 2-for-2 trade for the time being, and 1 altar against an altar. 9 points on the core against 6. 1 camp about to be taken here. It could have definitely been a lot more. Thronic's kill against Lunara was just so important. She got a little bit greedy there. Went in for Jaina, but now we still have the control here from the bottom altar's perspective. They're taking the camp too. They're starting to rotate from one lane to another now, from one camp to another. Boss is going to be up, and that's of course another big one. That game is definitely, at this point, getting really, really intense. I didn't actually believe it. I'm not going to lie here. When we had that massive lead for the Geilen Banger, I really thought Club Carajo wouldn't stand a chance there. But nope, as it is, we're having a big, big lead for them. And now they attack the boss with only 2. I'm questioning that a little bit. They have vision at the bot lane. That's going to be important. But only 2 heroes are attacking it. They need to be a little bit faster with that. And that's why they need damage. I mean, look at this. They're not going to do any damage here. They burrow in, and they're finally starting to take it again. Blue team doesn't even see it coming. They might. They're checking. But now it's going to be too late. Or is it? Getting the damage in should be fine. Should be fine. It might be fine. And it is barely fine. Alright, Apocalypse is there. The panic ults. The panic ults, and that might just have lost the blue team the game. They use their ults. If they don't get a kill here, then they just burn their cooldowns. And here's the channel. The channel is through. That's 5 shots. And ladies and gentlemen, that is actually game, as we have Club Carajo win the series against the Geilen Banger. Insane finish here by the red team.